Hello, friends. Bring down this background music a second. Hello, everybody. I am going to wait just a minute before I kick things off on this beautiful Friday morning brought to you from the camper. We are going to be talking about using Trello as a traveler and coming to you live from the scene today as a Trello traveler here in my camper. I am currently in Louisiana, but I am making my journey up north, although I don't think it counts. Like, it's technically not the north, but I also don't really think it counts as the south if I have to drive 12, 13 hours north to get there. So I'm working my way up to Kentucky. I'll be doing some stuff around Kentucky and Tennessee and Virginia over the next month. And yeah, I'm living that nomad dream this end of the week, as yesterday and today I am working by day and driving by evening and sleeping by night. So that is where I am at right now. Yeah, open up LinkedIn because just in case we've got some folks chatting over there. I hate that restream, although I think StreamYard does the same thing. It won't show you it won't show you if you're let your live chats over on LinkedIn. Let's see. Using Trello as a traveler event. Going here. Let me mute myself here. I didn't admittedly promote this too much. Yay! There's Christian. Yes, I was actually wondering how I am meant to spell that. And I looked it up, and apparently there are multiple ways you can spell traveler. And especially if you're trying to combine with a Trello pun, that opens up even more possibilities. Yeah, let me pause that there because I want the chat to come through. But yeah, so that is pretty much where I'm thinking here. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and kick things off, and folks can join as we go, or this is always gonna be available at the link wherever you're watching as a recording. So this is going out to YouTube, and it's on YouTube. Going out to LinkedIn, it's also on LinkedIn. So wherever you're currently watching it now, if you want to come back and rewatch it, come back to this very link and you will find it. Let's go through some other housekeeping real quick. I'm going to switch over to this screen here. So very meta, right? I organize my outline here inside Trello, but yes, this is recorded. Post in the chat if you have questions. I'm probably going to talk for 15, 20 minutes. If we have no questions, I'm going for longer if there are questions. I love when this is very interactive and when people ask things. If you're watching the recording, feel free to comment and ask questions on the video because I'll come back later and I'll still be happy to chime in and answer. So whether you're watching this now or later, definitely make sure to post in the comments. And my internet has been pretty good over here at the campground. I'm pretty impressed with it. I was testing it out pretty hard last night and it seems to be good. If I get interrupted, don't worry. I will be back or, post on LinkedIn if for whatever reason there's some reason I can't get back, but I should be back. So that is my objective. And yeah. All right. So first up, we're going to start with I want to show you one of the boards that I made for Dublin. It was like a trip that I took. It was a single destination trip that I was like, I have a very, specific place I want to go and I want to organize my plans around it. I would say this is how 90% of people travel. I'm going to show you some stuff I'm doing for like my big trip that I've got right now that has lots of destinations and lots of moving parts, more than just get on a plane, go there, go to Hull and do things day by day. So we're gonna go through all ends of the spectrum, but if I had to guess, this is probably the most common type of travel boards people would want to use. And so a couple things I want to point out here. So basically, I have a board. I'm going to Dublin, or I was going to Dublin, and I have lists for different things. I have a to-do list that's just tasks where, sometimes there's different I sort of need to check. I need to make reservations for things. So that's like an official like to-do board. I activity ideas. This is where I drop in, ooh, I'm going to Dublin, to do in Dublin. And I was going by myself, but had I been going with like friends or a partner, what I would have maybe done is add the voting power up, and then we could have all like voted on which one of these we liked the most, then sorted by it. And that could have been an easy way to see, oh, well, let's see, what we should do. Another good way to pick out activities is to look at what's near each other. And so notice like this Hellfire Club. I added a location for it here on the Trello card. And one of the things I love about Trello, it has map view. And I just mentioned this in my book club earlier this week. You either love it and it's super useful to you, or you've never touched it in your life. And I have found there's no in between, absolutely no in between. So, I think trips though, if you're working like delivery jobs and planning routes, you could see how you could use this. If you don't do that for work, you might be like, how would I use this for trips? This is truly where I find it extremely helpful. And so what you can do is basically see, okay, of all these activities I made, what's near each other? And I can see, Cliffs of Moher is near Wicklow Mountains, is near, the Spire of Dublin. Like all of these are roughly in the same area. So maybe one of those got really high votes and another one didn't so much, but you still want to make it happen and it's not too terribly inconvenient because it's next to something else that did. So that's a great way to organize activity ideas and be able to view them and be able to, like I said, just kind of decide what to do. Decide what to do. That's when I move over to see most of my lists here are days of my trip, and you can drag things over. And so I have learned to utilize timeline view a little bit more since making this. And I kind of categorize things by day a little more in terms of like, where am I sleeping? Do I need to cook any meals or things like that? So that way I can make sure all of my needs are met as I'm traveling. But this board, I was staying in one place. I didn't have to coordinate all of those things. So it was literally every day was just, am I working or am I taking the day off? And if I'm what are my day? So you can see I brought, literally could drag these over to whatever day I wanted to do them on. And I could have built in automation. I didn't, but I could have built in on that says when I drag a card to Wednesday, set it due to whatever day that is. And then when I go to timeline, I could have seen it all plotted by the different days. Or I could have, pivoted here by label so I could see, oh, where am I sleeping each of these days? Where am I eating each of these days? And I'll show you a little bit more about how this looks when I pivot like this in my board for this road trip that I'm taking, which has a lot more moving parts. This is pretty basic, straightforward. Activity ideas, and then each day you just kind of drag in what you want to do there. This list I skipped over, but this is just a basic reference list. If I have any reservation confirmations for like flights or things that I want to just keep track of in one place, I'm going to put them right here. It's going to be nice, organized, and digging through my emails to try to find the folder when Delta needs my confirmation number or whatnot. So that's that. And then, yeah, pretty much, like I said, I can have links and details and pictures in here to make this look really pretty. But also, again, this is where map view comes in really handy because I can say, okay, today is, Wednesday. What am I doing over here? What is this card? Exactly. Be able to go through and do that. So super bare bones, but it does what you need. You can also attach like, I think, trying to think where I had my one of these I went to go see the Book of Kell. Is that what it is? The library. And I thought I had attached there we go, Book of Kell's tour. Yep, here we go. See my attachments. It's going to be an expired page now, but I basically have my tickets attached to this, so that way I didn't have to go dig through multiple places. Everything I needed was just sitting right here in Trello. So that was super easy to do. Yes, Andy. Don't worry. I'll try to have some like very aesthetic, like I don't know, voice modulations. I don't know. You've seen all of these boards, Andy. I'm sure at some point I've shown you my various travel boards, so you've probably seen them. So you could probably just picture me talking about Trello. You don't need to be watching. You can just hear it and you can project it into your mind, I assume. So no worries. Thank you for joining, even if you are just listening. That is totally fine. I also allow multitaskers. So don't feel bad if you're watching and you're also kind of doing something else. I totally understand. I do that too. Feel free to still post a question chat if you're like, wait, did you talk about this? I have this question. Ask away. I'll repeat myself. So another board I want to share is this is a bit more of like a general sort of style of board, more so than dedicated to any sort of specific trip. But as many of you may know, I like to travel my camper. I got one earlier this year and it's been really fun, but there was a lot of things to coordinate for this. And let me tell you, being a camper owner has put my Trello boards to the test, and Trello has won every. I have multiple boards I use for things, but I try to kind of condense in this board called Camper Life. I have archive lists in here that I used for helping me figure out how to buy a camper, excuse me, and all of those things. So this board, and now you can see it's kind of broken into multiple boards here, right? So first of all, I have here's things I need to do next time I'm at the camper. Here's projects that I want to work on. I have an inventory, which I have a video talking about that. I'll include a link here. Let me grab that link. See, what did Andy say? Seen them live and in the newsletter. Exactly. Yeah, you've seen these all. Let's see. I'm looking for my inventory board video. So yeah, you've definitely seen this one too, Andy. I've been talking about this one a lot lately as it's been super inspiring. But this is, I'll go ahead and post it in the chat for anybody watching. This is camper inventory board that I use for keeping track of all the different things that I have in the camper. And this started because I accidentally bought way too much paprika, and now I have a manageable amount of pepper in the camper, and because I see what I have and not buy multiples unless I need to. So that's my camp inventory board. I also have a board for maintenance and things that I track for what I need to like take care of here. So lots of different things going on there. An endless list of projects. I feel like it's like being a homeowner. If you own any sort of home or boat or honestly any sort of vessel, I feel like you'll relate to this of like things that you really need to do and then fun things you kind of want to do. So I've got my curated list here that these will usually go over into like next time I'm at the camper and want to do some project stuff. I have different things I want to research. If we want to do this full time, which my partner and I've been considering, there's some various things that we probably need to do. Various campgrounds we may want to stay at. I keep track of any time I'm traveling somewhere. And granted, it's only happened once, but if I see a mobile RV service, I'm like, let me write that down because I feel like that is a thing that when you need it, you need it. And of course, I'm already thinking about future campers. Who's surprised? Who's surprised? But no plans to buy a new one at this moment. So that's kind of a general sort of like smorgasbord of boards. If that smorgasbord, I'm gonna have to use that term, but it's a combination of all of my boards across different places that do different sort of things, and it gives me one central inventory to keep track of all of those, and then go to the direct board I need to for certain things. So, okay, now I want to show you my board I'm most excited about. Okay, this is my August road trip board. This is probably my most coordinated. I don't even want to say complicated because that makes it seem like it's hard, but let's just say my most advanced, probably Trello travel board I've built so far. So here's how it works, okay? I've got lists for different things because this trip, I started it yesterday. It's a month long, and I'm going to nations. Some will have power, most will have power, some will not. So there's various things to consider. So I have different checklists of things that I need to do at different places. So especially when I'm tearing up and tearing down the camper, there's a lot of different things I need to do about this. I actually made a TikTok about this the other day. I'll include a link to that. But there's lots of different little things that I need to do when I'm setting up and tearing down, and I have a checklist to do that because you think the more you do it, the more you get used to it, and you do, but then you start to forget one tiny step. And just even yesterday, I started trying to be like, I know I don't need to look at the checklist. And then I felt like a deer in the headlights at one point. I was like, wait, did I do this in the right order? So checklist. So I have right here. And you can see I'm on day 2 today. So these are checklists that I may use today before I head out. I'm going to need to tear down the interior. I don't really have much set up on the exterior, but I'll need to do that. And then I'm hooked up, so I probably won't need to do all that, but I'll check some of those pieces. And then tonight we get set up. I'm not going to unhook. I'm going to stay hooked up to the truck because I'm just sleeping there for the night. But have a few things I need to set up on the inside. So I have these sort of things, okay? And these are different tasks. I was supposed to do this yesterday, got ahead of me. So we're going to go ahead and make this due today. But I got these new propane monitor things that I can put on my propane tank so I can see when they're what level, rather than going out and trying to see where the cold and hot part is. So these are just I think of as I'm like, I probably added 3 things in here yesterday, and I'm sure I will add more in here. I have a list dedicated just for driving, and the reason I have a check mark is when something is like sorted out, then I can assume that category is pretty good to go, and I don't necessarily need to add more cards in there. I can minimize it, but basically this is my driving route, so you can see all the different things that I'm planning to drive, where my goals are for driving, what I need to do. Thankfully the next couple days are the bulk of the driving, and then once I actually get up north, it's migrating around a couple hours, but it being that posted. Notice I've got dates on that. I'll show you why that's helpful here in a few minutes. But I've also got lodging, so you can see this is all of my lodging stuff that I've sorted out here. So this is where I'm staying tonight at a campground in Louisiana. I have this kind of out of order, but tonight I'm going to be staying at a brewing company. And I have option. I may be staying at Cracker Barrel if I can't make it quite there, but I've got different plans of where I'm going to be. And for the record, I actually have like some other backup options, just because travel is kind of unpredictable, and I don't want to force myself to go where I can't, especially since it's like storming and things. And I don't have major deadlines, so who knows? Maybe I'll not even stay at either of those. But I have all of my options listed here, all of the different places that I'm staying, and what I need to do. I actually don't need these cards over here. Dude, that was for an example. And so, I've got my lodging sorted out. Another important thing, I'm working from the road, right? So I'm doing live streams like this. I've also got my full-time job that I'm still doing for most of some time off for a wedding, but for the most part, I'm still working. And so I have backup options for all of these different places where I could, let's say the campground Wi-Fi doesn't work, my hotspot doesn't work for whatever, and I have backup options where I can go for Wi-Fi. Then I have activities, so all sorts of different things to do. I have all sorts of people to see. I haven't coordinated meals yet, to be honest. This is something that when I get planted, I'm going to out my sort of meals for myself and go grocery shopping and make a list there, but I haven't set that up. Closest place for fuel. This gives me a place to drop for when I'm traveling and going places, and I want to be able to see, like, for instance, tonight, I'm going to want to look up wherever I end up stopping, what's the nearest place for fuel, so that when I start my journey, I can fill up and keep going. So that list is intentionally empty right now. And then I've got a couple lists for tracking spending. So I have different sort of budgets that I'm using, and I'm actually using the Colorful Budgets Power Up. I have a whole video about different ways that I'm using that. And so I have another board that I'm doing more advanced budgeting things with called my Plan Spending. And there's lots more going on there. So this is just kind of a mini version of it for me to keep track of what I've budgeted for campground fuel and food spending. And of course, I've got a done list here, because what is Trello without a done list, right? That, you got to be able to spray some confetti when you drag cards over your lists and things. So the beauty of this, so you're like, okay, that's a cool looking board. How is this cool? Beauty of this timeline view, because I'm getting the most out of dates and the different activities here. So it's really helpful because I can see all of these. I can see, these are the sort of things that I'm doing by day. So I can see, okay, today, wow, I've got a lot of driving to do. I've got plenty of fuel options. I know where I'm staying. I know backup places for work. Don't really have any special activities today or people to see. Awesome. But when I start getting to other places, it's going to be really nice to see, okay, well, here's where I'm staying. Here's my backup option for Wi-Fi. Here's my social activities planned, etc. So things like that. So I really thought that was pretty cool. And then, of course, map view is super sweet for something like this, because you can literally just see my sort of path as I'm going places and doing things, and I can zoom in for difference to get more, specifics and granular into cards of different things that I may be doing. So really helpful for that. But yeah, overall, it's just nice to have one place that has all the details about my trip that I can keep organized, sort out there. So okay, sorry, I don't have my multiple windows right now, so I'm just now looking at the chat. You can never have enough paprika. It's true. It's true. I do go through it. And yes, I am a mobile homeowner. A Trello board about hors d'oeuvres, a smorgasbord. Yes, yeah, Andy, we're definitely gonna have to keep that in the rotation. Mainly do these edits on PC, laptop, Mac, or on mobile app. Fantastic question, Andy. A little bit of all of it. I will be honest, as much as I can, I try to do it on my computer. That's not a Trello thing so much as a thing prefers to work on her computer versus her phone most of the time. But I will say I try to do a lot on my desktop, but there's plenty I do on my phone. Plenty. And especially for this part of the trip where I'm doing stuff with like these checklists and it's like, I'm actually doing the travel and I'm like looking to see where I need to go and what I do. That's pretty much all on my phone. Like yesterday, for the most part, I use my phone and I just set up the checklist and I check them off as I go for like when I'm hooking up or when I'm, setting up camp or whatever. So for the most part, I would say the planning stuff tends to happen ahead of time on desktop, but the like in the day stuff happens here on mobile for the most part. Let's see. Bob says, just joined up. What did I miss? You didn't miss too much, Bob, except for all of it. No, you missed me talking about some of my favorite boards. Basically, just yeah, I'll include some links to I guess I won't really include links because this is the link. So Bob, you might want to rewind part of it, but effectively you just missed some awesome Trello boards showing how I'm using Trello to keep track of single place trips, like when I go to Dublin or when I'm trying to coordinate bigger objectives, like I own a camper and there's lots of camping involved and tasks related there. And then I just went through this August road trip board where I was explaining that I am traveling for the next month now out of the camper, and there are lots of things to coordinate. And this board helps me sort it all out so I can view what am I doing, where am I staying, where am I driving, do I have backup options for internet because we love internet, keeping track of spending. See, this actually reminds me, I need to upgrade my fuel spending. Any guesses on what I spent yesterday on fuel? I'm gonna look in the chat because I feel like this would be fun for people to guess on. Timeline view and map view. Yeah, exactly. That's what I really like about. That's why I was like, I feel like I really have utilized these features this board because it lets me see the route I need to go, but also make sure I've got all of my boxes ticked and everything organized as it needs to be. So yeah, it was pretty nice. Okay, I'm surprised. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in first day fuel. So actually, let me give you a little more context for anybody guessing. Okay, Andy's got 250, Bob's got 80. Let me give you some more details so the guess can be a little more accurate. My truck full, and then I probably put in about just under a quarter or just under a quarter of a tank to completely top it off from when I got to storage to drive it to. I drove it about 4 hours. An hour and a half of that was sitting in traffic. I have a diesel truck. But yeah. Okay, these are all really good guesses. Shockingly though, I spent $48. And I still have half a tank. Like I got like some of the best fuel economy that I've ever had yesterday sitting in traffic, and I don't understand how that happened, but yeah, so I'm now at half a tank. So today I'm going to fill up, and it's probably gonna be closer to that. Andy, I think that 245, I'm gonna get there soon. It's not, driving a couple hours doesn't hit that yet, thankfully, but like my hypothesis is it's gonna be close to 500 by the time I get up north, as I keep saying. So yeah, not a bad guess for the fact that I'm partially through what I think is going to be a $500 fuel journey, but We would all lose on the prices, right? Yeah, you would. That's why I was like, I gotta write this one down because it's like so shocking. And what's super funny is I actually spent, I'm counting my generator fuel in there, but just topping off my truck, like, so it was just barely even a quarter of a tank that I put in was like $38. And I spent another $10 on, or no, yeah, I can't remember exactly the breakout, but I think I want to say I spent like $10 on getting just like non-diesel fuel that I can put in my generator. So I counted that in here in my fuel, but I won't generally be doing that part. But I'll keep you all posted. If anyone's curious, I bet it's going to, when I go fill up on my way out here, I'll probably do it again because I know a good gas station not super far from here, even though I've just got half a tank. That one's probably gonna that one's gonna put us, I bet, over 100, well over 100, or well, I should say well near 100, well near 100. So yeah, and then I've still got plenty more driving even after all of that. So I'll keep you all posted on the budget adventures if folks find that a fun game to play. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe I do a live stream at the end of all of this, and we just go through my different my fuel costs. And oh, quick demo though of how this colorful budgets works. Notice that I said first day fuel spending. I set the expense field being 48. It's going to aggregate it here, and my goal is to spend $1,000 total. We'll see if that happens or not. But I can see I've spent $48 out of 1,000, and yeah, kind of same with all of this stuff. I've got all of this budgeted and planned, but it's nice to actually watch it fill up as we go here and see if I'm accurate or not. Call it the accountant in me, loving a good budget versus actual. Any accountants here? Love a good BVA. Okay, cool. Agenda here and see, but I think, yeah, conclusion. Are there any Q&As? Feel free to ask if you have any questions. Still got a few more minutes here. While I'm waiting for questions to roll in, things I'm future. I think what I kind of want to do is, I didn't even really show too much of this board, I guess, because it's kind of like it's another home for other boards. But this board is where I have a list for each month and each trip that I have. And you can see I just moved ones that have been completed already towards the end here. I want to find a better way of utilizing this. Like, this works. But again, if it's a bigger, it ends up kind of being its own board. Like when I go to Italy, that's its own board. But I still kind of have a list here that at least lets me know, do I have all of the core components booked, and is it ready to go if it's a potential trip I want to take. And again, this kind of is nice for timeline view because or not really timeline, actually. The calendar just is helpful here, so I can kind of see what's coming up and when and where I'm going to be. And do I have trips planned? Do I need to adjust things, like where am I going, etc. But I usually end up, especially for bigger trips, breaking it out into more specific boards. So figure out how to utilize that a little bit more. What else do I want to try to do? I want to try to make this easier on mobile, because a lot of Trello can be easier to use on mobile depending on how you set it up, and just being accommodated, like setting up your list in ways that make sense where you don't have to scroll all the way to the board for ones you need, or trying to optimize custom fields or labels or things like that. So, or even automation with checklists, right? Like I have built some sort of systems where in other boards I haven't found the perfect system that I want yet. Like, it's one of those things that I know the rules to make it happen. I just don't know what I want to happen to make it happen. So I need to figure out how I want these checklists automated. But what I'd love to do is basically, I don't know, maybe, I guess if I say like day 3, I'm going to be doing this, this, and this, then add those specific checkups or those checklists on there, rather than copying over the whole stored checklist card and removing the checklist I don't need. So that's something I probably want to improve there. Yeah, that's kind of top of mind for me. I'm not seeing any other questions here in the chat, but as always, feel free to comment on this video. Again, if you're watching this as a recording, totally fine. Watch this and comment still with your questions. I still get notifications, and I am super happy to respond to these questions when I see them come through. It doesn't have to be live. You may inspire me to make a new video if it is a very visual thing that I need to show. So feel free to comment on this video and join me. And also, if you have not already, sign up for my newsletter. As Andy mentioned, I'm putting a link in the chat here, but as Andy mentioned, I talk about a lot of these things on my newsletter. And so if you're like, man, I don't want to wait until Brittany does another live stream to learn about all this fun stuff, join my newsletter, because I love sharing the different sort of things that I'm doing on here and how I'm sorting myself out, hopefully inspiring other people. So yeah, thank you all for joining. And I think if that's all, I'm going to sign off and get started on my workday so I can hopefully wrap it up early and get some driving in. But thank you all for joining, and happy